Good morning and welcome to the March 8th, 2023 City Council meeting. We will begin with the invocation followed by the pledge. If you'll please stand. Dear Heavenly Father, I just thank you for today. I thank you for the change of the season. I thank you for azaleas and tulips and green grass and just the beauty of our city. I thank you for this council. I thank you for everyone that's here, everyone that's watching. Just thank you for our community, the beauty and everything about it. Just thank you for today. In your son's name we pray. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll begin with the minutes from February the 8th, 2023.
Move to approve minutes. Second.
Got a motion by Curtis, second by Wynn. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. A1. Are these mics kind of echoing?
They are.
Good morning, Mayor
Morning.
Council.
Good morning.
I am here to request that the City Council accept the 2023 Texas Recreation and Park Society Lone Star Legacy Park Award for the Tyler Municipal Rose Garden. The 2023 Traps Lone Star Legacy Award has been granted to the Tyler Municipal Rose Garden. A Lone Star Legacy Award is classified as a park that holds special prominence in the local community and the state of Texas. To qualify for consideration, the park must endure the test of time and become iconic to those who have visited, played, and rested on its grounds. The Tyler Municipal Rose Garden was one of 7 parks and open spaces in the state of Texas to receive this designation in 2023. Lone Star Legacy Parks must be at least 50 years old, open to the public, and have a significant role in the community history. This will be the 11th year for the Lone Star Park program. After the class of 2023 parks are added, there will be a total of 72 Lone Star Legacy parks throughout our great state. The Tyler Municipal Rose Garden is widely recognized as America's largest public collection of roses and commonly known as the Rose Capital of America. The property that is now home of the Tyler Rose Garden was first purchased by the city in 1912, but construction officially began in 1938 using funds from the WPA. The garden was opened to the public in 1952 and has remained a tourist destination for visitors across the world, as well as the home of many local, cultural, and historic events. Care has been taken to preserve the original character of the garden, while new features have been added over time. It is recommended that the City Council accept the Tyler Municipal Rose Garden Texas Recreation and Park Society Lone Star Legacy Award for 2023.
Thank you, Leanne, and just thank you for what you do. And thank you to all the park staff. Can you kind of, we got to call them out.
Yeah. Now, I want to thank Christy Mitt, who actually wrote this grant. And I have with us Jose Parra, who is our parks manager, Joe Barboza, who is our superintendent for the Rose Garden, and Maggie Sanchez, who is our crew leader for the Rose Garden.
Well, thank you all for what you do. Yep. Thank you. Chief Coble.
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Morning, Chief.
I have R1 and R2. Leave from one and go to the next one. That's okay with you. This is a request that the City Council consider adoption of a resolution authorizing submission of an application by the Tyler Fire Department for and acceptance of a grant funding from the Office of the Texas Governor's Homeland Security Grant Division and for the grant funding through the State Homeland Security Program as managed by East Texas Council of Government to be used for support programs and projects aimed at maintaining and or enhancing the city's of Tyler's emergency preparedness response capabilities. All that said, we have been applying for these grants through EdCog. This year we did apply, or we're going to apply, or we have applied, but they haven't met. So up to $50,000. What we're doing is replacing the EOC computers. They're more than 12 years old. And so they've been hobbling along for a while, and this is an opportunity for us to replace them. It's a non-matching grant. $50,000 is on here, but it could be less than that if the committee decided we get half of it or 3/4 of it or whatever they decide is what the amount will be. And then we'll buy as many computers as we can with what it is. So the request is that the City Council adopt a resolution authorizing submission of an application by the Title Fire Department for and acceptance of grant funding through the Office of the Texas Governor's Homeland Security Grant Division and for the grant funding through the State Homeland Security Program as managed by the East Texas Council of Government to be used to support programs and projects aimed at maintaining and/or enhancing the City of Title's emergency preparedness and response capabilities.
Any questions or comments for the chief?
Move to approve R1.
Second.
Got a motion by Curtis, second by McKellar. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. R2, exciting one.
All right, I also have R2. This was very good to get, very exciting to get. This is a request that the City Council consider adoption of a resolution authorizing the acceptance of the 2021 FEMA Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response, also known as SAFER grant, in the amount of $1,451,782.08 to hire 6 additional firefighters and request that the City Council authorize the creation of 6 new firefighter positions. We will be coming back to you with that civil service authorization. So we'll get with the CFO and he'll do a budget amendment and then we'll follow that with the civil service authorization. We'll come back with you for those 6 additional firefighters. We have to do this so we can accept the grant from FEMA. This will help us to finish staffing up Station 10, Tower 10. While we were in Austin, I did get a call from Sidney Martin, the manufacturer of our truck, saying that it has it on fabrication. So they are speccing out the metal and all that, measuring all that to get ready. We should see it online in the next week or two, that they'll be building it. Our expected delivery date of that truck is still the end of June, so we plan on having it by June. So these 6 firefighters, some will have to stick in training and some may already be certified, we're not sure. It'll be after our next entrance exam, which is scheduled for April 11th. And so it is recommended that the City Council authorize the acceptance of the 2021 SAFER grant in the amount of $1,451,782.08 to hire 6 additional firefighters and request that the City Council authorize the creation of 6 new firefighters positions. Let me also tell you why this says 2021 instead of 2022. This is a grant that we applied for last year. They gave out almost all the money last year, and then in the 11th hour, right, a day before Valentine's Day, we found out that we actually received some of the money from last year. We were getting ready to reapply for it, but we were told that we received it on the 13th of February.
Can you go into a little more detail about what the grant money pays for and for how long?
Yes, this is a non-matching grant. It's for 3 years, and it pays 100% of the salaries and the benefits of the 6 firefighters for 3 years.
Okay. Any questions for the chief?
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Haney, second by Wynn. Any further discussion? I'll say something real quick. We got a bunch of firefighters back there that came here several years ago when we had another SAFER grant that did not go through. This one is, and I want to tell you, all of us are proud of what you do. We want you to have the manpower and the tools to keep you safe as you keep us safe. So I got to say thank you, firefighters, and thank you, Chief. All right, we got a motion and a second. There is no further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 01.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Today is a good day. Yes, yes. Per the Texas Election Code, Section 2.051 through 053 allows for the cancellation of an election under certain circumstances and to declare each unopposed candidate elected to office. The current City Council election for Tyler City Council Districts 1, 3, and 5 meets the criteria for cancellation since the respective candidates whose names are to appear on the ballot are unopposed and no proposition is to appear on the ballot. In accordance with provisions of the law, I, as City Clerk, prepared a certification of unopposed status, a copy of which you received in your agenda packet. And upon receipt of that certification, if it is the desire of the City Council to cancel the election, it shall follow the cancellation procedure set forth in Texas Election Code Section 2.53 as follows. So on receipt of the certification, the governing body of the political subdivision by order or ordinance shall declare each unopposed candidate elected to office. If a declaration is made under subsection A, the election is not held. A certification of election shall be issued to each candidate in the same manner and at the same time as provided for a candidate elected at the election. The unopposed candidate will not be sworn in until after election day, which is May 6th, which would have been the election day. And at that time, the governing body will issue a certificate of election to the unopposed candidate, and he or she will be sworn into office in the same manner provided for the candidate elected at the election. So to read into the certificate of unopposed status, I, Cassandra Brader, City Clerk of the City of Tyler, Texas, hereby certify that when the deadline of 5 p.m. on February 17, 2023 passed, only the following unopposed candidates had filed an application for a place on the ballot, and no one had filed a declaration of write-in candidacy for the Tyler City Council election scheduled to be held May 6, 2023. So City Council District 1 is Stuart Haney, City Council District 3 is Shirley McKellar, City Council District 5 is Lauren Nichols. This unopposed status and the fact that no proposition is scheduled to appear on the ballot for Districts 1, 3, and 5 will permit the Tyler City Council to take advantage of this Texas Election Code 2.051 through 053, which allows the City Council to cancel the election and declare the unopposed candidates elected to office. So at this time, I'm requesting that the City Council consider adopting an ordinance and canceling the election for the Tyler City Council members for District 1, 3, and 5 scheduled for May 6, 2023, and declare the unopposed candidates for the Tyler City Council members for District 1, 3, and 5 elected to office.
Any questions for Cassandra?
So moved.
Second.
Kind of self-serving there.
All right.
Before we call for the vote, I'd just like to make a comment. You know, it's really incredible. I think it's a testament to the quality of the service that our two sitting councilmen that didn't draw an opponent have done on council, and it's been an honor to serve with you. And also, too, it's kind of a melancholy moment for me because we just approved my replacement. So anyhow, but I think that it's also a testament to the confidence that the community has in all of those that ran this last election cycle, that the city's on the right path. So anyhow, now you can call for the vote.
Thank you for that. And we have a number of meetings left before we roast you.
You're not going.
So your time's coming.
Mr. Mayor, may I say that I want to say to Councilman Westbrook, what an amazing job that you have done in your tenure as well.
Thank you.
That's the nice part.
That's
My part's coming later. Okay, we got a motion by McKellar, a second by Haney. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations to y'all. All right, M1, Ms. Franklin.
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Morning.
This morning, we're bringing before you a professional services contract for downtown. So just to walk through where we've come from, in last year, about a year ago, we hired Halford Associates. They came in and did a conceptual process where they engaged a lot of the stakeholders downtown to envision what they wanted downtown to look like. And so we went through that process and created a conceptual cross-section of streets, what the sidewalk should look like, what downtown conceptually the square could look like. And through that process, it's time to take it to the next level, which is why we're looking at this professional services contract. One of the big issues here is that we have to work in harmony and step with what is happening with the Smith County Courthouse. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is the council wanted us to look at bringing some data to you all with regard to what we do with the cross sections, two-waying the streets, and what we do with Broadway and how that truly impacts traffic. So the NPO, which is Cameron and Michael, have been working on that project in harmony with what we're trying to do today with this contract. They're going to be bringing before you all the results from that traffic study in April. And as they're doing that, we'll be working with these consultants to move forward with the actual deliverables that you've seen in the contract. But we're working with Fitzpatrick Architects, Halford Associates, and our first project really is EMA, who's downtown also. So those three design professional groups will be working with us And those deliverables will include really a park layout. What does that park look like on the square? What do the street cross-section designs look like? All of the engineering work as well as the surveying work, which is a huge part of the project for downtown. So we're asking for you all to approve this phase 1 process, which is $230,000 on the architectural, landscaping, and engineering design. And then the second part is the development for the site topo and the SU survey, which will happen, associates will be working on that part. So working all of this together, not only will we have these 3 professionals, but internally, downtown, the engineering department, traffic engineering will also all have to work together on what the outcome of this will be. And then we'll be ready to look at these cost estimates and come forward with construction plans at that point, once we decide, what is it that we can afford. We also applied for the grant. If that grant comes through, that really changes what we can do and how fast we can advance this project. We've been given a timeline of about 4 months for this first phase, and then we'll really have to look at about 6 months for that second phase. We're only asking for funding today for phase 1. So all of them are here today. If you have any questions for that group, we'll be happy to answer those. But we're just asking that you all authorize the city manager to sign this professional services contract in the amount of $451,794.
Any questions for Stephanie?
Is phase 2 construction or is it more design?
Phase 2 will really be development of the actual construction plans.
Okay. And so part of this is the reworking of the streets, which we don't know exactly what will happen because we're waiting on the engineering study. And then part of it's redesign of the one square we have right now.
Right.
And I know this is out in the future, but we get this all done. Does the city maintain that? Does the county is that a shared deal? How does that work?
Do you want to take that, or do you want me to?
So for the square is the property of the county. So all current maintenance is the responsibility of the county. Anything that we do any participation that we have for the improvement of the courthouse, and they have some money, or the square, and they have some money kind of set aside, but not a whole lot, I don't think, in their bond. Any participation we do, then there would be an agreement with that in regards to how that would be broken down for maintenance purposes, control purposes. One of the things that we're looking at is on the tax increment reinvestment zone that sits on the downtown properties, is to rework that, but to ask the county and TJC to increase their portions of participation in that, to create a maintenance fund as well for the square specifically. There's 2 areas that we want to kind of really look at as maintenance and public safety for those 2 areas. So you'll actually probably be seeing that in the next couple of months as we start to kind of rework that and bring that forward for the county, TJC, and ultimately then back here to the city to kind of revise that agreement.
That's good, because I have no doubt what we'll get, the design's going to be great. You got to maintain it to keep it looking good. So
Right, and there's a lot of moving parts with all of our partners downtown.
Does the design include back-end parking?
Not at this time.
Thank
You know, one thing I would like to go into just a little more detail about, when you mentioned the grant,
Right.
it's the raised grant.
Right.
And it's close to $25 million, and we'll know whether or not we got that, I believe, on June the 28th.
Correct.
And one of the exciting things about this grant is we did get letters of support from Senator John Cornyn, Congressman Nathaniel Moran, Representative Matt Schaefer, and Senator Brian Hughes. So we do have a lot of support from our elected officials for the project, and I just hope we get it. So.
Yeah, and I think one of the exciting things is we've applied for this grant several years before, but really the timing is right at this application process because the county has established what they're doing with the courthouse, so it's our time.
All right, any other questions for Stephanie?
you. Second.
Got a motion by McGee, second by McKellar. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. M2.
Good morning.
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 Just like every year, I want to come up here with you and just say that we're here with the 2023 Onyx seal coat project here. Wanting to ask you to approve a contract with that. Now, based on the pavement ratings, you know, we every year we go out with a list of streets that need sealing, and the times that we use Onyx are when the surface asphalt content has degraded or has really lost its asphalt content, and we want to replace that. We want to restore that. The street is still in pretty good shape, but we want to go ahead and just restore that asphalt content on the surface coat right there. So that's what we do with the Onyx compared to just a normal seal coat. Along with that, the good thing is we don't use the thicker, larger rock, which we've had some complaints about recently. So right now we took bids on June 14. We did receive one bid from Missouri Petroleum LLC in the amount of $685,000, $432.47. This is funded out of the general fund, the streets, and it does represent 31 lane miles. And we are scheduled to start construction in June and last for about 3 months. So the engineering department requests that City Council consider authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Missouri Petroleum LLC for the construction of the 2023 Onyx seal coat project in the amount of
$685,432.47. Any questions for Darren?
I have a question. Darren, is it possible for us to get a list of the streets that will be?
It's actually in your packet.
It's in my packet.
It is in your packet, about roughly 75 streets in there.
Okay.
Are the streets based on their scoring being done?
Based on the scoring and are also based on us evaluating the scoring, Chuck going out and driving these to verify that, so yes.
Do you want to make a mention a little bit, Darren, about on the PCI? One is, you know, I think we probably has a couple of new council members. This is the last time we talked about it, PCI scoring and how that is done. And then the other side of that being just kind of a little bit, I guess, a more rigorous evaluation that has been done on that scoring, so that some of the stuff all of a sudden has kind of shifted a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, as some of you may remember, and we'll bring some of you up to date, about every 4 years, the last time we did it was in 2019, 2020, we contract with the company and they come out and they drive and evaluate the streets. So they have a van with basically somewhat of a radar on the van. They actually detect all the surface anomalies and cracks and humps and potholes and other items out there. So we do that every 4 years. And then what we get that, they actually determine a pavement condition at index based upon several conditions of the street, several parameters. And then what we do is Chuck and Gary will both go out and they'll evaluate those, because sometimes certain things that just technology has some limitations that a 78-year-old engineer can just evaluate and really hone in, and just the purpose of it, and just really fine-tune those PCIs. So he does that every 4 years, and then we evaluate those again periodically, even in between those 4 years. And we use those to determine the rankings on what needs a seal coat, what needs a reconstruction, what needs an overlay. And when we do each year that y'all evaluate, like just for instance, last one we had the reconstruction or asphalt enhancements. We went and we will, after this is done, we will go back and revise those PCIs for those streets. So they are constantly updated each year based upon the streets. But we use all that data to determine what streets in town, and they are all around town. They're not just in one, not just south, not just north. They are all around town in all council districts.
And what's our goal? The goal as far as the score?
The goal of fall scoring, there are several individual scores that, like below a 30, it just frankly just needs reconstruction. It's pretty much gone. That we went in, a lot of times we don't put too much, if any, money into those streets. We try to those to above about 85 or so. We will take those and we will seal coat those, which adds about 7 to 10 years of life on those for pretty cheap as far as investment in those, and maintains it, brings it back up to a new high level pavement condition. So then we'll do some reconstruction. We'll also do the Onyx seal on the better streets that still need a little bit of work, but they're not quite full seal coat necessary.
So why do you think that we only had one bidder? What are your thoughts?
Onyx, part of it's just a lot of work out there, and Onyx is a little bit more specialized than just your standard seal coat, but we feel it's very worth the money and worth even there's relatively few contractors that do that.
Thank you. With that, Mr. Mayor, I move to approve M2.
Second.
We got a motion by Westbrook, second by McKellar. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Darren.
Thank you.
Kate?
Morning.
This item M3 before you is a contract amendment with pipeline analysis. Jim Ford with pipeline analysis has been with us since the very beginning of the consent decree and has sort of ushered us through the process. And so this is renewing that contract for staff support services. The services that are to be provided will include, but not be limited to, overall consent decree program management, continued assistance in implementation of those remedial measures projects for group 5 and 6, assistance with compiling data, identifying trends, and then writing an annual report that we submit every year to the EPA at the beginning of March. Completion of group 6 and beginning of group 7 assessment work, smoke testing, assistance as needed with the implementation of that private lateral repair program. And this is all for $1,602,111.37. So I'm here to request that the City Council consider authorizing the City Manager to amend the engineering services contract with pipeline analysis and execute amendment number 1 with a projected cost of $1,602,111.37 for support of consent decree requirements in the wastewater collection systems capacity management, operations, and maintenance program.
Any questions for Kate?
Move to approve M3.
Second.
Motion by Westbrook, second by Wynn. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Kate. Peter? Should be pulling anything.
Mayor, Council, give item M4 before you. You have a request that City Council review and consider accepting the revenue expenditure report for the period ending December 31st, 2022. The items that you have in your packet, they represent about 70% of our overall appropriation, so by no means are these all the funds. This report just focuses on some of our major funds, and I'll just hit the highlights on some of the major ones. We'll start out with the general fund. We're expecting revenues to be 1.03 million greater than budget. That is due to sales tax. Also, we're expecting expenditures to be about 1.3 less than budget. Water utilities, we're expecting revenues to be about $340,000 less than budget. I will caution we are early in the fiscal year. That could quickly change depending on how the summer turns out. Also, we're expecting expenditures to be about $200,000 greater than budget in that fund. Solid waste, we are expecting revenues from all sources to be about $67,000 greater than budget, and we're expecting expenditures to be about $900 less than budget. Airport fund, we're expecting revenues from all sources, including transfers, to be about 57,000 greater than budget, and we're expecting expenditures to be about 217,000 less than budget. Development services, we're expecting revenues to be about 15,000 greater than budget. Expenditures, about 79,000 less than budget. Hot fund, continue to see growth there in the hot fund. We're expecting revenues to be almost 94,000 greater than budget, and expenditures to be about 145,000 less than budget. Employee benefits fund, we're expecting revenues to be about 2.7 million greater than budget. That is due to a stop loss or multiple stop loss reimbursements, so that is primarily why we're over budget on revenues. Also why we're over budget on expenditures as well. We're expecting to be about 1.8 million greater than budget. But the net effect is we're still projecting to have some growth in fund balance this year, but I will caution it is early in the fiscal year. So that concludes my report. We request the City Council consider review and consider accepting the revenue expenditure report for the period ending December 31st, 2022.
So is there anything in your report that causes you to have heartburn?
Health and benefits fund. I mean, just the claims that we're seeing, and there's several claims there that we're watching very closely. So that fund is something that we always watch closely, and you just never know what's going to happen there. But so far early on this year, it looks like the fund is going to, we're starting the year off pretty good as far as fund balance wise, but we do have stop loss reimbursement, so that will impact us when we go back out to the market to renew that stop loss policy. So those are. And
when is that? When is that?
I think we're about 6 or 7 months into the new policy. Regina, do you know how?
From the very back.
Yes, we're already into the new policy and we've already started receiving reimbursements. With how we're performing now with the current data, we only have about a quarter. If we continue performing at this rate, it looks like we'll only have a difference of about $700,000 that we need to find for next year's budget.
Thank you.
Just for that.
Only 700,000.
The way we're performing now and the large claims and the stop loss, that's possible.
Any other questions for Kedrick or Regina?
Move to approve M4.
Second.
Got a motion by Curtis, second by McKellar. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. B1, Cassandra. Twice in one day.
Wow. Yeah.
Twice in one day.
I know, I'm not sure what's
It's a privilege.
Okay, so during the year, we may have some vacancies or circumstances that come up and we have to come back before City Council and ask if they fill vacancies on boards. So we have 2 this morning that we're bringing back before you, which is the Keep Tyler Beautiful Board and the Half-Cent Sales Tax Board. On the Keep Tyler Beautiful Board, we received an application from Tonya Bickham. She's requested to actually move from the Half-Cent Sales Tax Board to the Keep Tyler Beautiful Board. So when that happened, I reached out to Councilmember McGee to let him know as well that since the Half-Cent Sales Tax is by district, then we wanted to get that filled pretty quick. So he also reached out to Bobby Gorman for the Half-Cent Sales Tax Board. So I have those 2 applications in your packet to fill those vacancies. So Tonya Bickham on the Keep Tyler Beautiful Board and Bobby Gorman on the Half-Cent Sales Tax Board.
All right, any questions for Cassandra? Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by McGee, second by Wynn. for Tanya Bickham to be on the Keep Tyler Beautiful Board and Bobby Gorman to be on the half-cent sales tax board. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Cassandra. All right, we're down to the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Motion by Westbrook, second by McGee. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Spring is in the air, the weather is really nice outside, and our Parks Department is doing quite a bit of work to kind of be able to help people enjoy all that. And so my report's kind of heavy a little bit on just a lot of the parks work that's going on and some of the stuff that's being planned. The Lindsay Park crew is working on a full infield renovation on the softball fields at 3 and 4. This includes tilling up the whole infield, adding new select softball infield material along with new backstop boards where needed, and installing all new bases on both fields to get ready for this season's softball games. They're also doing some minor fence repairs on all 5 softball fields, and the action you just took during consent relates to the other ball fields that are out there at Lindsay Park as well. Southside Park, one of the additions that we did at Southside Park a few years ago was the inclusive play area, the playground for children of all, essentially, with all kind of, it may have cognitive or physical impairments or disabilities to play on as well. One of the things that have been asked about is some type of fencing to go along there, because if you kind of notice, especially on the northern side of that park, there's a little bit of a drop off for kind of a drainage way. And so a new safety fencing has been installed around the majority of the park. And so the play features are still fully accessible to the public, but this provides as far as that protection for if any children were to kind of start to move around or to get off of the playground area without them falling down or going into that drainage area. And so this was part of the original playground plan and was paid for by the AMBUC donors as part of that. Noble Young Park, which is being done with our Community Development Block Grant funds for its renovation. The new bathroom and pavilion are making great progress and it's nearing completion. And so we should be able to have that open in the next month or two for all the improvements over at Noble Young Park, of which I've already had people with, especially the bicycle groups, kind of asking because of the bicycle addition that was added to Noble Young and just how much fun that will be. And then on the Smith County Commissioners Court last week, you may have seen this, where they approved last Tuesday the use of $264,000 of its ARPA funding to help with the special baseball field for the new Miracle League of Tyler. And this is one that staff has been in discussions with this group for over at Faulkner Park. And so we were very excited to see the Smith County also participate and to join in on this one. And so this one, the nonprofit organization promotes recreational and developmental activities for children with mental and physical disabilities. So Smith County's ARPA funding will help pay for a special rubberized turf baseball field that accommodates wheelchairs and other assistive devices while helping to prevent injuries in case of a fall. And Shannon Glennie, who's been kind of the fund development person out there with Miracle League of Tyler, said that families were driving up to an hour away for their children to play in a Miracle League in other areas when they just decided to start one here. And so she stated that Smith County is a community in which we are proud to live and work and raise a family. With the help of the City of Tyler, we're extremely excited to give back to our community by creating a Miracle League field that will enhance the lives of hundreds of families every year at Faulkner Park. And so we as a city are providing the land to build the field adjacent to our other baseball fields at Faulkner Park, and Miracle League is raising the funds to construct the field, and the city will maintain it. Also, Keep Tyler Beautiful has announced the Beauty and Bloom Awards. And so one resident in each council district will be recognized for going above and beyond to beautify their property through landscaping, maintenance, and being litter-free. So we're now accepting nominations through April 7th. So if you know of someone in your district who deserves to be recognized, please let us know, and let others in your districts know so that we can be able to recognize those people who are really going above and beyond to make their property look beautiful. And then finally, I was reminded today by my assistant that it is International Women's Day. And so we want to thank the better 50% of our population, and for those in providing special leadership, whether it be Councilman McKellar, our city attorney, our city clerk, our deputy city manager, our assistant city manager, parks director, Tyler Water Utilities director, our organizational development director, and the list goes on, at all of the incredible women doing incredible things here in our community. And so we're very grateful for them.
Any other comments from the city manager?
Ed, do you have any update on the limb pickup? Because I've had several people contact me as far as, hey, they haven't gotten to me, do I need to call back down, or?
Yes, at this point, we are pretty well, yeah.
There's Leroy.
Yeah, but I will say this because, and hopefully kind of get, as Leroy's, you always call people from the very back row, is that if you haven't been called, you should call, or haven't been picked up, you should call. There are some, I think, that probably haven't recalled at all yet that we haven't got to, or just to make sure. But Leroy, let me turn it back over to you, sir.
Good morning.
Morning.
So as of yesterday, we're at about 1,900 tickets completed, about 70%. So we've grown from 24 to 26, so it's kind of a moving target. But that's kind of where we are as of yesterday. Now, our help, they've left, we had them for about 2 weeks. That was really nice. They left as of Sunday. So we're back to city staff working about 600 tickets that's left. And kind of our productivity is probably about 200 to 250 a week. Kind of.
Okay.
Any other questions about?
Thank you, Leroy.
Thank you. Thank you, Leroy.
Thank you. And the one last comment I'll make is, I want to thank the city manager and the council and staff. We spent the last 3 days in Austin for East Texas Coalition Days. And George and a lot of folks were down there. But it was something that was, I'm not sure if the word magical is the right word to use, but it was something that I was very proud of our community and proud of having our entire council there and staff that really engaged with our elected officials. We learned about, there's going to be by the end of the week possibly 8,000 bills that are proposed. But it was interesting just to get involved and really hear things that can affect our community, and for all of us to understand that and be aware of that, because we all care about what's going on and we want to know what's going on. So just thank you all for your engagement, and just proud to serve with y'all. So any other comments before we adjourn? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, all right. We are adjourned.